Hello girls and boys, thank you again for watching today. Welcome. Today's lesson is on food chains and the importance of insects. So first of all, why are insects so important? So insects are important for lots and lots of reasons, but the first reason is that they maintain our soils. So soil is of course extremely important for the growth of all the plants in the world. And animals such as worms, millipedes, and other decomposing animals will actually live in the soil, and they will eat the leaves and the rotten wood and things like that. So they decompose all the detritus. And then what they do as well is they actually burrow into the soil, which puts oxygen into the soil, meaning the soil doesn't go stagnant, meaning that the nutrients get recycled back into it. And this is really good for all of our food and our trees to grow. Also, all the decomposers will excrete back into the soil, which actually fertilizes the soil and makes the plants grow better and quicker.
A few critters that play an important role in maintaining our soils are earthworms, termites, and cockroaches.
The second reason why insects are so important is that they pollinate our plants. So insects that pollinate, such as bees and wasps and other things like that, will actually fly from flower to flower, fertilizing their seeds, meaning that when the seeds fall to the floor, they will grow and produce more plants. Did you know that without bees, we would lose strawberries, coffee, and avocados, just to name a few?
Just a few insects that pollinate are bees, butterflies, and midges.
The reason why insects are so important is that the predatory insects will eat the other insects that consume the leaves. So leaf-eating insects, if they are not eaten by the predatory insects, their population will grow and grow and grow, which means that all the crops and the leaves will be destroyed, meaning that there's not any food for any other animal.
Just a few predatory insects are ladybirds, wasps, and assassin bugs.
And one more reason why insects are so very important is that they provide food for other animals. So if you look at this food chain, which I'm going to show you in a second, you'll see that insects are the primary or secondary consumer. So insects provide food for animals such as birds, different reptiles, and of course the predatory insects that eat the leaf-eating insects. So let's look at this example of a food chain.
Here you can see a picture of a typical food chain. Every food chain in the world starts off with a plant. These are the only things that can actually make their own food. Then we can see a primary consumer, a secondary consumer, a tertiary consumer, and a final consumer. Now when the final consumer dies, this then will be decomposed back into the ground and the cycle starts over again.
So like we saw there, every single food chain on the planet starts off with a producer or a plant. And insects are either the primary or the secondary consumer in the food chain. This means that after the plant, they are the primary food source for all the bigger animals in that food chain. So by that, I don't mean that snakes will eat insects or owls will eat insects. What I mean is that the insects will provide food for the smaller animals, such as the frogs, the reptiles, the smaller birds, and these in turn will feed the bigger predators. Now that we've learnt why insects are so important, let me show you a few of my insects. So the first ones that we're going to look at are ones that maintain our soil health. Here we go. Okay, so these are my chafer beetle grubs. So at the moment they're in the grub stage, obviously, but they will transform into really nice beetles that are like a shiny green and yellow and blue. They come in all kinds of different colours. So this is a type of animal that is a decomposer that maintains the soil health. So what they do is they eat all the old leaves. Here you can see that he's kind of sat in some decaying leaves there. And what they do is they eat all this stuff, and then they poop, which fertilizes the soil. You can see now he's munching through some soil there, going to bury himself again. So when they poo, this fertilizes the soil, and they also aerate the soil and keep the soil oxygenated by burrowing through it and getting air to it and keeping the soil really healthy. Okay, so now we've got Flotsam. She is another decomposing insect. Well, she's not technically an insect, but a decomposing bug, if you like. Some of you may have seen Flotsam before in some other videos. So what millipedes do is they do a very similar thing to the beetle grubs. They bumble around on the floor, eating the leaves and the rotten wood and things like that. And by doing this, they get rid of all the detritus, which is really important for recycling nutrients, and they poo it back into the soil, so they fertilize the soil, and they also aerate the soil as well by burrowing into it. And these are mostly active at night. They love hiding. And for those of you that saw my classification video, you'll know that millipedes are actually a myriapod rather than an insect. Okay, so the next decomposer is the hissing cockroaches. Let me just say as well that I know that some of you may have seen some of these animals before in other videos. The reason I have to use them again is just because they fit in with the topic. I have actually got lots more, and I'm going to get lots more before I start coming out to you. So apologies for repeating the animals. I only use them because it's relevant to the topic, so just wanted to make that clear. Anyway, these are Madagascan hissing cockroaches, Histifer and Hysandra. You can see the male because he's got these little horns on the top of his head. You can see the female has a much flatter head there. So again, these will eat the rotten things on the floor, the leaves, the rotten fruits, and they excrete into the soil and burrow in the soil. Again, aerate the soil, make it healthy, and recycle all the good stuff back in. These will get slightly bigger as well. I've had these since they were tiny, and the male's not quite caught up with the female yet, but shouldn't be too long, I hope. I'll see if I can get them to hiss. Oh, one more time. Oh, that was a good one. Okay, so I actually don't have any animals that pollinate in my collection. However, it is springtime, summer's not too far away. If you head outside where there's flowers and things like that, I'm sure you'll see bees and wasps. Also, wasps are a really good pollinator, so please don't squish them. So now we're going to have a look at a few of my predatory bugs. Right, so here we have Licorice once again. Some of you may have seen her before. She's looking very chunky. I think she's about to molt. She hasn't eaten for a couple of weeks now. Well, at least a week. So I think she's coming up to a molt soon. So scorpions are a predatory arachnid. They will consume smaller bugs. So in our food chain that we looked at, these would be considered a secondary consumer because they eat the primary consumers, such as the locusts and the crickets and other little bugs like that. And then the scorpion would provide food for a bird or a larger reptile. Okay, so this is Rosie, my Brazilian black tarantula. She will of course get a lot bigger. She seems quite happy on the little piece of wood, so I'm not going to pick her up and stress her out or anything like that. I'm just going to show her to you on this little piece of wood. So tarantulas are a secondary consumer, so they will consume very much like the scorpion, the locusts and the crickets, and of course the flies and things like that they find. So they keep the primary consumers at bay so that they don't become overpopulated and destroy too many crops. So next we're going to take a look at some animals that I keep that are providers of food for bigger animals. Okay, so here we have got the Madagascan bullseye moth caterpillars. So there's one just on this little leaf, and there's also one just there as well. So caterpillars are what we call a primary consumer, if you remember the food chain. So the plant is the producer, and the caterpillars are the primary consumer. Now, I know it sounds quite callous, but primary consumers do need to get hunted by the predatory bugs that we've looked at, and also by larger animals like birds and different reptiles and things like that. I know it sounds harsh, but if they aren't hunted, then their population will become out of control. And if this happens, then all the plants and the crops will be absolutely destroyed by these leaf-eating bugs. And I did actually read a statistic once, and it said that in one oak tree in Britain, there can be as many as 10,000 caterpillars in one tree. So if you think, if none of those caterpillars were eaten by the birds in this country, the effects on the crops would be quite devastating. So these caterpillars will get a lot bigger. They also change colour when they get bigger as well. They go really pretty pinks and bright greens and yellows. And the reason that caterpillars eat so much is because when they reach the moth stage, the moths themselves don't actually eat anything, or if they do, it's very little. So by eating lots and lots in the caterpillar stage, what they're doing is they're building up enough energy to survive in the moth stage. And let me just make it clear, my pet caterpillars are not being hunted, so please don't worry. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave them on the twig, because I don't really handle the caterpillars, just because I don't think they like it very much, and I don't think it's terribly good for them. Okay, so next we have my baby Maclay stick insects. These are from Australia, and you can see they look rather a lot like little twigs or branches. And these are quite clever because they have like a scorpion stance, so they'll kind of curl their tail like a scorpion. That's to kind of look a bit more threatening to predators, sort of put predators off eating them. They can also give off a smell like toffee, and this is said to deter predators from eating them as well. One thing I did forget to mention was that animals that are leaf eaters, so primary consumers, tend to have lots and lots of babies or lay lots and lots of eggs. This is because they are such a prey animal. They're hunted lots and lots, which means that if they don't have lots of babies, there's a small chance that the animal will actually survive. So they have hundreds, sometimes thousands of babies to ensure that at least one or two will make it to adulthood. So Maclay stick insects, for example, one adult female, can lay hundreds of eggs in her lifetime. Okay everyone, so that is the end of this lesson. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have got any questions or comments, do please leave them for me and I will get back to you. So next week, next Saturday, I'm going to be uploading another lesson at 11 o'clock, and it's going to be on adaptations and habitats. So I hope to see you all there, and again, thank you for watching and take care. Bye bye.